Hi guys, so I'm here with my November reading wrap up. As always, everything that I wrote is typed up in front of me so that I don't forget what I gave anything. I read 8 books in November and they were all physical books. I didn't get anything read on my Kindle in November. So the first book that I got read in November was Legend by Marie Lu. I've been meaning to read this one for a long time and I finally just caved and picked it up. As you guys know, I'm very wary of dystopians in that they're not my go-to genre. Yeah, they're not my favourite. So I've read a few that I've really liked. I've read a couple that I've really disliked. So it's always very up in the air. This one I did like. I found the plot really interesting. I really enjoyed that side of it. The writing though didn't stand out as anything special for me. I found it quite dull, and it dragged in a lot of places. But the actual plot of it I did really enjoy, so I gave it 3 out of 5. And I would, now that a lot of it is set up, I would carry on reading the series. It's about 2 protagonists, a boy and a girl. One is a famous criminal. He fights against essentially the government that they have in this dystopian world. It's you're led to believe it's the United States in the future, because of something that crops up. And then June, who's very much a product of the system. She's their perfect little soldier, and she doesn't believe anything's wrong with the system, and she is tracking Day. But there are obviously quite a few revelations along the way. So yeah, the plot-wise was good. Writing that down in a lot of places, but I would still carry on and read Prodigy, which is book 2. The next book that I read was Opal by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the 3rd book in her Luck series. I'm absolutely loving this series, guys. Like, absolutely loving this. The end of this, obviously I can't say too much because it is a book 3, but the end of this was absolutely major cliffhanger territory. Such an evil ending, and I'm so pleased that I have the next book on my shelf ready to go, because if I didn't and I had to wait a long time for it to come out, I would be so upset. But yeah, I'm probably going to read Origin this month, because I'm really looking forward to getting to that. The next book that I read was a new adult contemporary novel, and that's The Edge of Never by J.A. Redmersky. I've heard an awful lot about this book. It's been all over Goodreads. It was a very popular self-published book before it was picked up to be published. And as you guys know, new adult novels, I've been really enjoying them this year. They were a new genre for me this year, and I've been reading quite a few of them, and I've liked an awful lot of them. This, for me, didn't live up to the hype that it has. I felt there was a lot of slut shaming going on in here. I felt there was a lot of contradictions. I didn't feel like the characters were awfully likeable. Basically, they meet on a bus. Cameron she gets on a bus, no idea where she's going. She's just trying to escape everything. And Andrew is on his way to visit his dad who's dying, and they meet, and then they go on this road trip. Didn't find it very believable, didn't like the characters an awful lot, but it was okay. I just didn't love it as much as I've loved other new adult novels. So I was torn between giving it 2.5 out of 5 and 3, so it's somewhere in that range. The next book that I read in November was the buddy read pick for me and Ryan, and we chose to read The 100 by Kaz Morgan. I absolutely love this cover, guys. Absolutely love this cover. And this was one I was excited to read, but it's in that sort of dystopian sci-fi type genre, so I was worried that I wouldn't like it, but I absolutely loved this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't want to say too much about it because Ryan and I will be doing a discussion on this book at some point. Come to think of it, I think that's scheduled for today. I will have to double check with him. I'm not entirely sure. And when I mean today, I mean the 1st of December, which is when I'm recording this. But I'm not sure. Anyway, we have to get and do a live review of this, but I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I will say that it sounds like it should be very action filled, but it's really not. I would definitely say this is more character driven. There is not an awful lot of action. There should be for the type of plot that's going on. Basically, 100 young convicted criminals are being sent back to Earth. Now, humans left Earth after the thing that's called the cataclysm. I think that's what it's called. Basically, there was some sort of nuclear or some sort of explosion on Earth that made Earth uninhabitable. So they left Earth on a spaceship. Now, they're trying to figure out if the humans can go back. So they're basically sending these criminals onto Earth to see if they can survive there now. And you have 4 characters' points of view: Clark, Wells, Bellamy, and Glass. 3 of those characters are on Earth, and 1 of them is on the ship. I actually really loved this book. It's got a lot of bad reviews, but I really enjoyed it. I found it very fast paced. I got through it very quickly. So the lack of action didn't suffer, didn't inflict on the pacing for me at all. I really enjoyed it. The end, I'm really looking forward to reading the next book. A lot of bad things happen to these characters, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about them, and because you're told bits and pieces but you haven't really got the whole story yet, and I'm really looking forward to discovering more about this. So I gave this 4 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. The next book that I read was Seeking Crystal by Joss Sterling. This is book 3 in her Benedict series. This series is basically about savants, people with special abilities. Book 1 is Finding Sky. I loved Finding Sky. I read that a couple of years ago now. Really enjoyed it. The second book, which is Stealing Phoenix, I still really enjoyed, but it wasn't as good as Finding Sky. And this again was not as good as Finding Sky. I found this kind of boring, actually, which is kind of disappointing. I did like Xavier and Crystal, even like them together, but Crystal is likeable at some points and not so likeable at other points. Xav is just cheeky and fun, and I really liked him. Basically, Crystal and Xav meet because his brother and her sister have found out they're soul finders, basically they're soulmates, and they're getting married, and so these two get thrown together, but they don't find out they're soul finders until quite a chunk of the way into the book. So it was okay. It was very slow. I didn't find it keeping my attention very much, so I gave it 3 out of 5. Definitely would recommend Finding Sky though. That has been the best book in the series for me. Nothing has been as good as that one from her yet. And then the next book that I read in November was Teacher's Pest by Charles Gilman. This is book 3 in the Tales of Lovecraft Middle School series, and then after that I also read Substitute Creature. This series is a fantastic middle grade series, guys. If you haven't picked this series up yet and you are interested in middle grade, it's a genre that you enjoy, or you have been thinking about trying middle grade but you don't really know where to start, I would definitely recommend picking up this series. It's so fun. You can get one of these books read in a couple of hours. They're just really good, solid reads. Teacher's Pest is when Harold Mergler, the student body president, there's some strange things going on with insects in the school, and then Substitute Creature, there's a strange, as the title would suggest, substitute teacher arrive, and the school is snowed in, and so some weird things are happening there. highly recommend these guys. I gave them both, oh no, I gave Teacher's Pest 5 out of 5 stars, but I gave Substitute Creature 4.5 simply because with this one I didn't feel it had the same level of, not creepiness because they're middle grade, they're not extremely creepy, but it just didn't have that level of something weird is going on. You knew there was something weird going on, but it didn't build in the same way that the others in the series have, but I still really enjoyed Substitute Creature and look forward to the next in the series, of course. And then the very last book that I read in November, I finally got round to reading this, and that's Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. You guys know, or you should know, I am yet to finish reading the Harry Potter books. I started reading them last year when Sue Morrow challenged me to read the first book in the Harry Potter series. If I read that, she would read something out of her comfort zone and read a young adult contemporary. So we did that, and I'm really glad that she did challenge me to do that because it made me try the series again. I tried reading it years ago when I was younger and I didn't get into it, and then I just never tried again. So Sue made me pick it up, and then for Christmas my best friend bought me the whole box set in the adult covers, and I've also read Chamber of Secrets this year, and I also read Prisoner of Azkaban, but they were back at the beginning of the year, like January, February, and I've been meaning to pick up Goblet of Fire, but I mean it's big, it's like 636 pages, but I'm really glad I finally just picked it up and read it. The beginning was a little slow for me, like the first 150 pages, like when it was all about the Wizarding World Cup, not Wizarding World Cup, the Quidditch World Cup, there we go. I found that a little slow. Obviously it built up and set up a lot of things that happened towards the end of the book, but it was just slow, and at the time it felt really pointless, like it just went on and on and on and on. But when they finally get to Hogwarts and stuff starts happening, it was fantastic. I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, and definitely getting more and more into Harry Potter, thank goodness. So yep, that's everything that I read in November. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and happy reading.